Sometimes you stumble across a news story, you just think, wow, this is big.
Yeah,
This could be huge EE.
I know what you mean.
And that's exactly how I felt when I saw this deal between Ampletech and Fujitsu.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So we're going to take a deep dive into what it all means. And trust me, this isn't just some tech industry gossip.
Right.
This could change the way we live and work.
Absolutely.
And it's probably way closer than you think.
A lot closer than people realize, I think.
What's fascinating here is how this deal hints at a massive power shift.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about who controls the internet.
It goes way beyond
We're
it.
talking about who controls information itself.
Yeah, it's information. It's the flow of information.
And that's a big deal.
It is.
For everyone, not just tech giants.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Sure.
First, who is Ampletech?
So Amplitech is...
They're kind of a rising star, right?
Yeah, they're kind of a new player in the space, but they're coming in with some very ambitious goals. And they're aiming to build what they call true 5G.
True 5G.
And the implications are mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, so imagine speeds 10 to 100 times faster than what you're probably using now.
Oh, okay, that's impressive.
But it's not just about speed.
Right.
It's about control.
Control, okay.
Their tower-to-home approach could actually cut out those big cable and internet providers we all love to hate.
So you're telling me I could finally kiss my cable company goodbye? Sign me up. But seriously, let's talk about this deal with Fujitsu.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Fujitsu Spain just signed a 5-year supplier agreement with Amplitech.
Right, a big deal.
To build private 5G networks across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East.
Huge undertaking.
Fujitsu is a huge E-player.
Oh yeah, global telecom giant.
They don't make bets like this lightly.
No, they definitely don't.
So what's the big deal with these private 5G networks? What makes them so different from the 5G we hear about all the time?
Think of it like this.
Okay.
The internet we use now, it's like a public highway. With everyone sharing the same lanes,
Right.
a private 5G network is like having your own private express lane, custom built for your needs.
Huh.
You control who has access, how much data they can use, and what level of security is in place.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a game changer, especially for businesses.
So how do you actually build one of these private networks?
Yeah.
Is it as simple as setting up a super-powered Wi-Fi router?
It's a bit more involved, but let me break it down for you.
Please.
First, you need the radios.
Okay.
These are like the backbone of wireless transmission.
So that's how the data gets beamed around.
Exactly. And they give you a lot of flexibility in how you set up your network.
Okay, so we got the radios. What happens next?
On the user end, you have something called a CPE.
CPE.
That stands for Customer Premises Equipment.
Okay.
Think of it as a specialized router that connects your business to the network. Then there's the CUDU, or the Centralized and Distributed Units.
CUDU. Huh. What's so special about that?
Okay, imagine you're streaming a movie in 4K while video conferencing with your team.
Okay.
And someone else is downloading a huge file.
Happens all the time.
On a regular network, you'd probably see some lag or buffering.
Oh, tell me about it. That's my life every day.
Well, the CUDU acts like an air traffic controller for your data,
Oh.
making sure everything flows smoothly no matter how much traffic is on the network.
So I'm picturing the data flying around,
Yeah.
managed by the CUDU thing.
Right.
Where does it all end up?
That's where the servers come in.
Okay, the servers.
They're the brains of the operation, processing and storing all that data.
So Amplitech provides the whole package.
They do.
Radios, CPE, CUDU servers.
The whole shebang.
Everything Fujitsu needs to roll out these private networks. This is a pretty high-level tech. I can see why businesses are excited.
Definitely.
But what does it mean for the average person?
Well,
Why should I care about private 5G?
because it has the potential to revolutionize how we live, work, and play. Absolutely. Let's start with businesses.
Okay.
Imagine a factory where robots and sensors are seamlessly connected,
Okay.
communicating in real time with almost zero lag.
That's pretty futuristic.
That's the kind of efficiency and productivity boost that private 5G can unlock.
That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. So we're talking about robots making robots.
Pretty much.
Wow.
And it's not just manufacturing.
Okay.
Think about the potential in healthcare.
Healthcare, yeah.
Imagine a surgeon performing a complex procedure remotely,
Wow.
guided by real-time data and high-definition video.
Okay.
All thanks to the ultra-reliable, low-latency connection of a private 5G network.
That's next level stuff.
It really is.
But we've talked a lot about the what.
Right.
Let's dive into the why.
Sure.
Why is private 5G such a game changer, and what does this deal really tell us about the future?
What's really exciting about private 5G is its potential to level the playing field.
Level the playing field, how so?
Small businesses will have access to the same level of connectivity and security that was previously only available to large corporations.
So it's not just about the big guys getting bigger. It's about empowering businesses of all sizes to compete and grow.
Exactly. And that brings us to the bigger picture.
Okay.
This deal between Ampletech and Fujitsu isn't just about technology, it's about control.
Okay.
We're moving away from a world where a few companies control the internet
Okay.
toward a more decentralized system where businesses and potentially even individuals have more power over their own data and connectivity.
So we're potentially cutting the cord with those big telecom companies.
It's a possibility.
That's a pretty radical shift.
It is.
And what does that mean for the future of the internet as we know it? I'm guessing we're only scratching the surface here.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, so there's more.
Oh yeah, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the potential impact of private 5G on homes
Okay, in our homes.
and the broader societal implications of this technology.
So the big picture stuff.
The big picture, it's a future full of possibilities, both exciting and a little bit daunting.
This is the kind of stuff that makes you realize just how quickly the world is changing.
It really is.
And it makes you wonder, are we ready for it? But that's a conversation for part 2.
Exactly. We'll pick it up there.
Do you want a deep dive podcast like this? Contact Bull Run by Charlie DeVanzo.
Welcome back.
All right, so we're back, and we've been talking about this Ampletech and Fujitsu deal,
Right.
and it really feels like we're witnessing a turning point.
Yeah, it does feel like something big is happening.
It's like watching the pieces fall into place for a future we could only imagine a few years ago.
Absolutely, and it's moving fast.
It's not just about faster downloads or smoother streaming.
It goes much deeper than that.
It's about a fundamental shift in how we think about connectivity and control.
It really is. It's a whole new way of looking at things.
We've talked about how private 5G could revolutionize businesses,
Right, giving them more power.
giving them the power to create their own super fast,
Secure.
networks. But what about the rest of us? How does this impact our everyday lives?
That's the really exciting part.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine a world where the same level of connectivity and control that businesses are getting with private 5G is available to everyone right in their own homes.
In our homes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so paint me a picture. What does that actually look like?
Think about all the frustrations you have with your current internet provider.
Oh, where do I even begin?
The outages, the data caps, the slow speeds, the feeling that you're at the mercy of a giant corporation.
Oh, believe me, I'm familiar with all of those.
Yeah,
Especially the slow speeds during peak hours.
I hear you.
It's like the internet equivalent of rush hour traffic.
Exactly. Now imagine a world where none of that exists.
Okay, I like where this is going.
With your own private 5G network, you would have blazing fast speeds, rock-solid reliability, and complete control over your connection.
So it's like having a VIP lane on the information superhighway just for me and my family.
That's the idea.
That sounds amazing. But let's be realistic, isn't setting up your own private 5G network going to be incredibly expensive? I can barely afford my current internet bill.
It's true that there would be some upfront costs, just like with any new technology.
Right.
But here's the thing. Remember how expensive flat-screen TVs were when they first came out?
Oh, yeah. They were a luxury item back then.
Exactly. As technology matures and adoption grows, prices inevitably come down.
That makes sense.
The same thing happened with smartphones, with electric cars with solar panels.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Private 5G is likely to follow the same trajectory.
So you're saying that while it might be a bit pricey at first, private 5G for homes could actually become more affordable over time, especially when you consider the potential long-term savings from ditching your current internet provider.
Precisely. And it's not just about saving money. Think about the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're in control of your own network.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
You can customize it to your specific needs, prioritize the devices and applications that matter most to you, and ensure the highest level of security for your data.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal, but let's talk logistics for a second. How easy is it to actually set up a private 5G network in your home? Would I need to hire a team of engineers and install all sorts of complicated equipment?
That's a great question, and it's something that a lot of people are wondering about. The good news is that companies like Amplitech are already developing user-friendly solutions that make it surprisingly simple to deploy and manage your own private 5G network.
So we're not talking about a DIY project that requires a degree in electrical engineering.
Not at all. Think of it more like setting up a smart home device. You might need to install a small antenna or two, connect a few cables, and follow some simple instructions, but the process is becoming increasingly streamlined and accessible.
That's reassuring to hear. But even if it's easy to set up, I still have one big question. How far off is this reality? Are we talking about something that's years away? Or could I potentially have my own private 5G network at home sooner than I think?
That's a tough one to answer definitively, as the pace of technological change can be unpredictable. However, based on the advancements we're seeing in 5G technology and the growing demand for faster, more reliable connectivity, I believe that private 5G for homes could become a mainstream option within the next few years.
Wow, that's sooner than I expected. It's amazing to think that we could be on the verge of a major shift in how we access the internet, with private 5G networks becoming as commonplace as Wi-Fi routers are today.
It's a truly exciting prospect, but as with any disruptive technology, there are bound to be challenges and questions that we need to address as we move towards this future.
Like what? What kind of hurdles do you see on the road to widespread private 5G adoption?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is going to be ensuring equitable access.
Equitable access, okay.
We need to make sure that private 5G isn't just a luxury for the wealthy or those in urban areas. It needs to be accessible to everyone, regardless of income or location.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
We don't want to create a new digital divide where some people have access to this incredible technology while others are left behind. Are there any other potential downsides or concerns that we should be aware of?
Another key consideration is the issue of security. While private 5G networks offer enhanced security features compared to public networks, they're not completely immune to cyber attacks.
Right, because everything's hackable these days.
Pretty much, we need to develop robust security protocols and educate users on how to protect their networks and data.
So it's not just about having the latest technology. It's also about using it responsibly and taking steps to mitigate potential risks that make sense anything else.
One final thought as we move towards a more decentralized internet with individuals and businesses having more control over their own networks, it's important to consider the role of regulation.
Regulation, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. How do we strike a balance between fostering innovation and ensuring that private 5G is used in a way that benefits everyone?
That's a great question, and one that I'm sure will be debated for years to come. It's like we're entering a new frontier and we need to figure out the rules of the road as we go. But before we get too deep into the regulatory weeds, let's take a step back and consider the broader societal implications of this shift towards private 5G.
That's an excellent idea. We've talked a lot about the technical aspects and the potential benefits, but it's equally important to understand how this technology could reshape our lives in ways we might not even be able to imagine yet.
Okay, so let's dive into that. How could private 5G impact our relationships with technology, with each other, and with the world around us? That's what we'll explore in part 3 of our deep dive.
Do you want a deep dive podcast like this? Contact Bull Run by Charlie DeVanzo.
So we're back, and we've been unpacking this whole Ampletech and Fujitsu deal.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And it feels like we've stumbled onto something much bigger than just a business agreement.
Definitely, it's like we're seeing a glimpse of the future.
It's a sign of the times, wouldn't you say? A glimpse into a future where the internet, as we know it, is fundamentally reshaped.
I think so. Yeah, it's a whole new paradigm.
We've talked about the potential of private 5G for businesses and homes.
Right, and how it could change things.
But the ripple effects go way beyond that.
It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the ripple effects.
It's about a shift in power, a move away from centralized control towards a more distributed model where individuals and businesses have more autonomy over their data and connectivity.
Right, it's about giving people more control.
So it's not just about faster speeds and lower latency, it's about a fundamental change in how we interact with the online world.
Exactly, it's about changing the relationship between us and the internet.
Which raises a really interesting question. What does this mean for society as a whole?
That's the big question, isn't it?
The million-dollar
For
question.
the million-dollar question, how will this change us?
The truth is, we're stepping into uncharted territory. The implications of this shift towards private 5G are far-reaching and potentially transformative.
Yeah, we're talking about a potential societal shift.
Okay, so let's put on our futurist hats for a moment. What are some of the potential societal impacts that you foresee?
Well, one of the most significant impacts could be on the nature of work. Imagine a world where remote work is not just possible, but preferable thanks to the reliability and security of private 5G networks.
So we're talking about a future where geography becomes less of a barrier to employment.
Exactly. People could live anywhere and still have access to high-quality jobs and educational opportunities. It could revitalize rural communities and reduce the strain on overcrowded urban centers.
That's a really positive potential outcome.
It is. There's a lot of potential upside here.
But what about the potential downsides? Are there any risks or challenges that we need to be mindful of?
Of course, with any new technology, there are always potential pitfalls.
Right.
One concern is the potential for increased social isolation.
Social isolation,
Right.
okay.
If people are spending more time in virtual worlds connected through private networks, will that lead to a decline in face-to-face interactions?
That's a valid concern. It reminds me of those sci-fi movies where everyone is plugged into virtual reality and has lost touch with the real world.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to end up like that.
It's a dystopian scenario that we want to avoid. The key is to find a balance, to leverage the power of private 5G to enhance human connection rather than replace it.
Right. It's about using technology to bring us together, not isolate us.
So how do we do that? How do we ensure that private 5G is used in a way that benefits society as a whole rather than just a select few?
I think education is crucial.
Education, okay.
We need to help people understand the potential of this technology, both the good and the bad.
So educating people about the potential risks as well.
Exactly. And we need to foster digital literacy and critical thinking skills so that people can make informed choices about how they use private 5G.
And what about the role of government? Do you think there's a need for regulation to ensure equitable access and a responsible use of private 5G?
That's a tough one. It's a complex issue.
Yeah, it's not an easy question to answer.
On one hand, we want to avoid stifling innovation with excessive regulation.
Right, we don't want to slow down progress.
But on the other hand, we need to make sure that private 5G doesn't exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between fostering innovation and protecting the public interest.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
It's going to be an ongoing discussion for sure. This has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from the technical details of private 5G to its potential impact on businesses, homes, and society as a whole.
Yeah, we've really gone deep on this one.
And we've only scratched the surface. The future of private 5G is still being written, and it's a future full of possibilities, both exciting and uncertain.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they navigate this rapidly evolving technological landscape?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious, to stay informed, and to stay engaged. The future is not something that happens to us, it's something we create together.
That's a great point, and I think it's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of private 5G. We'll continue to explore the frontiers of technology and keep you updated on the latest developments that are shaping our world.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Do you want a deep dive podcast like this? Contact Bull Run by Charlie DeVanzo.